It's almost like a little boutique hotel in a hotel, in a landscape hotel. It's kind of, how do we make it functional as one big house if it's a buyout, which it all can connect together. It's eight separate rooms, ensuite bathrooms, totally private with their own hot tubs. Or we can rent it out to 8 individual couples. So this is very much a new concept for us. It's something we've been kicking around for a long time. It's almost like a little boutique hotel in a hotel, in a landscape hotel. It kind of feels like that for you, staying in it.
I love it.
Yeah, so, and the idea with it always was, how do we make it functional as one big house if it's a buyout, which it all can connect together. It's eight separate rooms, ensuite bathrooms, totally private with their own hot tubs. So you can, have 8 of a people of a connected group together and use this common space as like a big living room, dining room type area. And then we'll block this off. We upsell, you can have a private pool, private sauna, or don't pay for the upsell and that can be used by other guests. Or we can rent it out to 8 individual couples. So
yeah, which worked perfect. I was able to hop in as an individual yesterday, and it feels like you've got a totally private unit the way they all face out as well.
I do feel like from a hotel standpoint, it feels kind of homey though, right?
It does.
It feels like you're popping into your communal kitchen living area here. You can like work here or whatever.
It's kind of the best of a hostel and a hotel because you get your individual units, but it does have a great, like hangout space in here. I saw guys were working on their laptop this morning.
Yep. Yeah, we have this little, that'll be a commissary over there with like vending machines, some food options kind of in the corner. And then this is a conference room, or it can be set up as a dining room. Still have some work going on here, clearly.
So what's the idea with the center kitchen?
This could function as a bar, right?
Okay.
You have bartender, kind of this can be a bar, event going on, exactly. Yeah.
Like it.
Or just kind of some separation to food prep, cooking, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so do you think you would, is this set up as a commercial kitchen? Like you come here and cook?
No, it's like a high-end residential. It does still have a grease trap, so it's kind of there, but the appliances and stuff are more like high-end resi grade than true commercial.
And so if you're cooking, can you cook here, or do you need, for events,
you
or do you need to
cook
prep
here.
warm?
You can cook here, but I think most caterers probably are going to do a lot of prep off-site, right? And come here and kind of use what we have to warm things up and whatnot, but probably do a lot of the cooking at their base location. And that's how we do it in Wimberley as well. So
have you gotten into, do you do small weddings, or would you on this?
Totally would, yeah. I think that we've never done a lot of weddings, largely because we do so well on the weekends. Like our rates are so high, our occupancy so high, so we're not going to significantly discount, to get a whole wedding party to come here. And then it comes into the issue of grandma, grandpa, or aunt and uncle. Not everybody wants to spend $500 a night, $700 a night. You know what I mean, to go to the wedding. So that's where we're not always the best fit for weddings, but we're really good for corporate events, retreats, wellness retreats. Nonprofit, sort of other organizations midweek is really ideal. And then your high price point weddings. Like we hope to book a few 60 to 80 grand weddings, kind of thing.
Couple of those a year.
Yes,
Let them
exactly.
Take the whole place out.
Exactly, yeah. If somebody really wants to pay for it to have the full experience private. So where the view shed is, you get these big dramatic windows.
Yeah.
You got your hot tub right off the patio, private patio. The walls come out a little bit, giving you this very private feeling on your back porch. Good sized bathroom, right? I love this little pony wall. It's funny, right? It's a great, for a guy, I can change here. Nobody can see me. You know what I mean?
It's a good point, because when this is open.
It's open, yeah.
You're pretty open.
So instead of having to run over there and draw the whole shades, I can change
you
right
hop
here.
in quick. It works. That works. Love it.
Yeah. But I've stayed in here. One of my favorite unit types to come, especially if I'm coming here to work or whatever, because easy to work out of there, have a meeting with my guys. Very functional.
If you're coming by yourself, this was perfect. If I was going to bring a family, one of the bigger units would be nice, or even my wife. Yeah. But that feels a little overdone if you're just, coming in.
Yeah. Super functional. Very I don't know. It's good. Got good feng shui. Good flow in here.
Yeah.
Right?
I could totally work here for a week. Probably couldn't afford it for a week. But yeah. So what was it like early days? When the two of you guys were getting started?
When I met my wife, I was a year into getting sober and trying to clean my life up. And so she's really seen it from the beginning. Yeah, I was a nightclub promoter in New York City, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that's it seems like so many hoteliers come from the nightclub world and be
man.
nightclub promoters. You know, it's like what Ian Schrager, Andre Balaz, who's the other guy? Yeah, there's so many of them that started in that world in one way or another. So, yeah, a lot of the big restaurateurs and stuff as well. But anyways, that world kind of chewed me up and spit me out. Had a good time for a few years and ended up getting sober at that fateful year of 27 years old when so many people, I feel like celebrities and stuff have like died and whatnot. So, yeah, I got...
It's a part of hospitality because you got like the bartender is basically, a therapist. You're sitting and you're working with people, talking to people.
For sure.
The promoter is, the same thing.
You're showing people a good time, right?
People a good time.
Yeah. You're
I used to
delivering
be in business development, and a lot of my good friends, same thing. I had their job was to take contractors out, show them a good time, and where it goes from like really good-hearted social people to, quickly like the good time, tends to land in alcohol and drinking, and it tends to like take the worst out. But there's some of the best people, I think, had most opportunity entrepreneurs. I've seen some of our, friends, one of my business development buddies has gone on and, developed hotels. Like, he kind of took that same, skill of networking and raising capital to do that. So not surprised to, to see that.
Yeah, that was the start. And, I met my wife in New York, old-fashioned way at a friend's birthday party,
Nice.
I think it was the McKendrick Hotel, pretty cool, vibey spot in New York, kind of up and coming at the time, back in 2016.
Okay.
And yeah, we dated for a few months and started to get a bit more serious. And she was working at the Memorial Sloan Kettering, the cancer hospital, doing recreation therapy. And I was living between my Airbnbs in New York City. Living off the couch, right? I mean, I had, I think, 3 apartments that I was running at that point, and that was how I was like digging myself out of my financial hole. I was like $30,000 in credit card debt. I'm like, I got to get out of this once I got sober. So did that, and she's like, who is this guy? I have like 3 apartments that I'm bouncing between. If they're all booked, I'll like get a nice hotel or something. So it was definitely an interesting time. And my first sober job, I was doing software sales for this company called Quid. Okay. So the Airbnb was kind of like side hustle. And I was doing client success and then later software sales. And their software was sending me to military bases in Germany and San Diego. And so I was like traveling all over the place. So I'm sure I had a little bit of like an interesting mystique, that was attractive to her. But we dated for a couple of years, and then we both kind of got sick of New York. We'd both lived there for over a decade, and just the grind, intensity, the cold, like there was a bunch of things. We were just ready to get out and started.
This is kind of the antithesis of Texas Hill Country.
Hill Country is for sure. Austin's, still a city,
it's vibing,
right?
Yeah.
It's a city. Yeah. It's got a lot of culture and obviously music and good food and all those sorts of things. But she didn't know anything about Austin. I'd been to South by a couple times and had spent some time in Austin and really liked it. And we got married in September 2019, the year before COVID. We did this Southwestern road trip. So we took an RV for our honeymoon and went all around the Southwest, visited a dozen national parks in like 6 weeks, and kind of fell in love with that whole experience, except for the RV BS that inevitably you have to deal with on every RV trip.
Other than the RV trip is great.
It was great. Right? Other than the RV BS. But waking up on like the BLM camping land that literally like makes you feel like you're in the park, like waking up in the park, looking at the mesas, seeing the sun rise and set over them was incredible. And so I think that was part of the inspiration behind what led to Onera. So that trip, and then ended up settling in Austin, moved here end of 2019. And my wife fell in love with it within a few months. So we bought a house in February. We moved here in November, rented for a few months, and then we bought a house in February.
Right on. Yeah. And did you sell off your New York properties, or?
It was all pretty much all leased, right? Okay. And leased or managed.
Yeah.
And so that business, in some form, still runs just as a management company. Yeah. We don't really have much of our own inventory, our own units anymore. I'm not really involved in it. My old partner kind of still runs that business. What's left of it? I mean, COVID really hammered us pretty good, but still runs. And I mean, that business was the income that largely allowed us to get our construction loan for the first Onera. I mean, so it definitely served its purpose as a launch pad.
Yeah.
And the cash from it allowed us to invest, our couple $100,000 that we put into our first deal.
And I think we talked about that a little bit last time. It's kind of either, when you're buying real estate, you need a W-2 or income statement, and you need, capital, but you don't always need both. You can sometimes raise capital if you need the down payment, but having the ability to be able to sign on debt is helpful, and there's kind of both partnerships in it.
For sure, yeah. I mean, development is, it's a long game, right? I mean, it's not typically you're getting a bunch of money or building wealth quickly. I mean, these hotel deals, 5+ years typically at minimum to really materialize and get paid out as a sponsor, developer, the GP side. So yeah, it's been instrumental for us to always have a cash flow business that's very accretive, right? And has strong synergies with the development. So we've had a management company, still do. Now we have a marketing company as well for hotels, which has done extremely well. So those things really help keep the lights on, so we can keep chasing the building one of one hotels dream alive.
It seems like step to step, but it's still a pretty big jump, going from any kind of earned income to doing development where you're waiting a long time, you're raising capital. Did you have mentorship to figure this out? Did you just go at it? How did you start figuring out the pieces of putting this thing together?
I think that I'm trying to get better at the mentorship thing. I'm trying to mentor more. I'm also trying to work with mentors more and cultivate those relationships. I don't feel like I wasn't the best at having tons of mentors around me. I feel like a lot of other folks that I see out there doing that, it probably makes their lives a lot easier. I definitely had to go through the ringer, learn a lot of things the hard way, get scrappy.
We all learn different.
figure out how to get myself out of predicaments. I mean, that's kind of been my MO since I was a kid. I've often had to learn things the hard way. But it sticks, and I've been resourceful and kind of been able to, figure my way out of challenges and find amazing opportunities that a mentor might say, that's a little crazy. So I think it can kind of cut both ways. But I actually consider my business partner in Owasi, this guy by the name of Jesse, he's a mentor to me and a partner. So he saw what I built with Onera and wanted to do something together after I had worked for him. So I worked for him at a short-term rental management company. He had started, around mid-20 teens. And he had this unique stay property out in Joshua Tree. That was another inspiration to Onera. So he's been a mentor to me, but we're also friends, colleagues, and partners. So
yeah. I would watch my brother when I was a kid, go down, ride his bike, fall off. And that was one way, he'd get up and be better at it. And I'd just watch him and I'd learn, oh, well, don't do that. And I think and I've got 2 boys now. One's the get into trouble, make a mistake, figure out how to do it better. The other one's I'll learn from. So I think people learn in different directions.
Yeah,
and
I'm the oldest.
Yeah, so. Somebody's got to go first. So you mentioned you learned a few through the hard knocks. So what were some of the hard knocks that you went through on your first project?
Yeah, I mean, going all the way back, I think that business partners and team members is so crucial. And I am a lot more, I trust my gut more with business partners, and I really make sure that we're set up in a way that incentives are aligned, everybody's adding value, the sum is greater than the parts type situation. Because I've been in relationships before, with business partners where I felt like I was doing everything and being taken advantage of. So I've tried to avoid that moving forward. In construction specifically, GC is my primary relationship, Love architects, love designers, all cool. We can use a different one in every project if we have to. Hopefully we don't need to do that, and we'll start working with architects more and more, repeatedly. But the GC, in terms of having a successful project, coming in on time, on budget, having them involved from the very beginning, working collaboratively with me and the architects, has been our recipe for success.
Yeah.
Because you just work with an architect a lot of times, and you're an architect, right?
Right.
A lot of times if you work with an architect from the jump and just the architect, and then you go try to design, bid, build, kind of classic, construction model.
You're doing it over.
Yeah, and you're almost never coming in on budget, right? Because as good as an architect may be, like they don't know the build cost like the GC does, right? So we've really tried to make that a collaborative process, and so
super smart.
In having to do that, we have to have architects who are collaborative. Right, and a lot of architects, I'm sure, as you know, you do not appear to be this way, but can be very kind of
egotistic,
ego focused and
don't touch my design,
my way or the highway, exactly, and very like holier than thou kind of vibe, and so we've dealt with that, and we've had to learn from that and watch out for that. But the flip side, and this is one reason it's so hard to find the ideal architect for us, is that we need someone who's collaborative, but we also need someone who's got a backbone enough to say, I think this is better, right? Or that can tell me, the owner, like I don't know about that. I don't know if those that color palette or these textures work, right? Like things like that. And we've had both extremes. We've had architects that were super collaborative, but kind of would do whatever we said, and then we've had some that where the ego kind of got in the way. So.
You need a Yoda that's like the guide, but not gonna be I'm gonna go out and be the sword fighter. It's like you just gotta have someone that can.
It's tough.
That can walk through both. It's a fine balance.
And I think it's a hard role because of that. It's a hard role. But our first project, we hired the wrong GC. That. It's funny, my GC now was a consultant on that project. Okay. And he bid it, a cost estimate, right? It was cost plus during COVID. Nobody was doing hard bid. So he estimated it. He was about 40% higher than the guy that I ended up hiring. And the guy that I ended up hiring blew through what that would have been. Always. And way, took delays and all the rest. So I learned my lesson. Yeah. You get what you pay for, and just because somebody estimates something, you got to go with
the cost plus.
you got to go with the track record, the referral, the reputation, and that's one thing my GC has. Like, he is just. The most important thing to him is that reputation of on time and on budget. And so many GCs are not like that.
Right.
And so that I've just found that so rare, and a banker introduced me to him. So if a banker introduces you to your contractor, you're probably in pretty good shape.
Yeah. That's all the banker cares about. I don't really care what it costs as long as it's
and
not
they hit
more
it.
than what it
They hit it. Yeah. And their pay apps make sense, and the draws are lining up with getting the project done and all the rest.
Yeah, you mentioned with your partners early on that you had some where you felt like you were doing all the work, and partnerships are super difficult. But it is a team game. Like especially at this larger scale, you need to work with good partners, good people. How do you not just find but make sure that you're setting up those alignments of responsibilities so that everybody's coming in and contributing? And
I think that. First and foremost for me, it's like I want to work with people that have a really good reputation and that I trust, right? Those are probably the two biggest things. And then right after that is, certainly complementary skill sets, right? If we have too much overlapping skill set, there can be diffusion of responsibility, who's doing what. A big one for me is a sense of urgency. I cannot work with people that are fucking slow and lazy and lackadaisical and not responsive, and everybody that I surround myself with has a serious sense of urgency and prides themselves in that. So that's like a cultural thing that is a total non-starter for me if somebody doesn't have that. Yeah. So that's a big one that I've learned, and I've had past business partners that were not like that. And it was like hell for me.
And you got to remember, like, business partners don't need to be your best friends that you're chilling at the beach with. Like, it's business. It's serious.
It is, but it's good to have. It's good to have that camaraderie, and it's good to. So my best partnerships have been people that I maybe met through work in some way and started developing a relationship, but we weren't like buddies first, right? It was work first, and then the friendship really developed over the course of the partnership. That's been my best experience, and my business partners today are some of my closest trusted friends as well, but the foundation was, our work together.
What are you guys aligning on that's like setting the course of the vision that's driving ahead?
Project first, right? No individual. It's like, let's get to truth. Let's get to the right answer for the project. I think that's a really big one. Nobody's bigger than the project, right? And that's been a recipe for success. Like we've all had to take L's to make sure that there's a successful project. I have, GC has, all of us have, subs have, right? And so that's a big one. I think a commitment to problem solving, right? Can-do attitude. Like I don't want to hear we can't do something. I mean, you saw the 40-foot cantilever treehouse. It's like I want to know how we can do it and what it's going to cost, and then let's figure out if we're going to do it, right? And our GC and the architects we've worked with like are definitely of that vein. And how do we be collaborative and solution oriented? I've been in the finger pointing. I can't deal with that stuff. It's like, maybe like 1 or 2 lines, you got to get it off your chest. Okay, fine. But now we're moving on, right? It doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is how we're going to fix it, how we're going to make it right, and how we're going to move forward, right? So that's a big piece with everybody on our team. So I think those are probably the biggest ones.
Yeah. So what's next on your agenda here? I know you guys you've got some new projects coming up that you're aiming at.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about Florida. So we're starting a new brand. It is a tropical landscape resort concept. It could extend probably anything from like coastal to tropical to like farming, agritourism. I could see the brand kind of expanding that far. The first one is in South Florida. So truly tropical jungle vibes. It's in Redlands, which is right by Homestead, the capital of the country for like exotic plants, fruit, nurseries. So you can create this like Bali, Costa Rica vibe, but stateside, continental US, which doesn't exist yet. So truly one of one. We're gonna do these Bali style bungalows, these beautiful organic shapes. First project that'll be almost fully modular, so that's exciting.
Nice.
And really excited about the cool designs we have for those.
How many
keys?
Units? How many?
20.
What
20
kind of size
keys.
is it?
20 keys, which is the higher end of what we can build in terms of density in this area. It's a very low density requirement. How we're getting our zoning approval was actually through an agritourism ordinance. So we're trying to keep as much farm and agro space as possible. So we have only 5% impervious cover, which is really low, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
25 acres, 20 units. So pretty, modest common area, beautiful lagoon that'll be carved out of the coral limestone that's just beneath the surface.
And is it already an operating
farm?
What kind of farm is it?
Fruit farm. Yeah,
Fruit.
so exotic fruit. Lychee, longin, mame sapote, papaya. They have some banana and other
Are
stuff.
you partnering with the farmer, or did you buy it out?
We are leasing from the partner. Yeah, it's a good question. So it's we effectively have a 99-year lease, which was new to me. I've always owned the dirt, and was something that I was a little skittish of at first, right? I was like, well, I can't collateralize this. Like, what do I even think? Do I really control it? Like, right? Just thinking about worst case scenario. And it turns out that a 99-year lease functions pretty much like you own the dirt.
Okay. Can you still collateralize and finance?
You get normal debt. You can sell it at a cap rate. Like there's certain markets that kind of just operate like that. Hawaii's one of them. Bali you do the same thing. Certain parts of Europe.
That's super interesting.
And certain very expensive urban core. Like New York, it's like prime New York City properties. A lot of those will be leased.
And so, is it a revenue share back to the farmer?
It is 5% of net revenue.
So he has a certain incentive.
She actually, yes.
For you guys to be successful in the
100%.
project.
And the part of the whole story is like making farming sustainable in this community.
Right.
Because you got D.R. Horton, Lennar, all these companies coming out there and buying up dirt. Like this piece of property is worth $5 to $7 million. 25 acres in this kind of, close to the Everglades.
I'm sure it's like land rich, but cash poor.
Exactly.
Farming.
State
of most of our farms.
Farming is not producing the revenue for the property taxes, the operations, all the rest. Maybe you're breaking even at best.
Yeah.
And so we're going to present a situation for them where they're making 3-4x what they're making now in terms of income, but we're saving 3-4x what a mortgage would be if we had to buy the property. So it's kind of your classic win-win.
It really is.
And it's a good barrier to entry for us too, because for someone to replicate what we're doing, they would have to do it with a lease model. Like if you had to buy the dirt to get 25 acres to do 20 units, it wouldn't pencil. Like your land cost is going to be half of your total cost, which it wouldn't have modeled out.
Right. No, it's brilliant. I've got I need to introduce you to our business partner. He owns a 300-acre coffee farm in the DR, and we've been.
Oh, very cool.
We're doing a couple of units out there, but it has the potential to do much larger but it's tricky because you can't finance, in the DR very well. You need someone who's got ability to come in and get it up to a certain scale, if you're making a destination.
Yep.
So
you can support some F&B or stuff like that.
Supports all that. So I think it's a great model. I think there's a lot of farms, across, U.S. and others that could really benefit, from that cross collaboration. So.
Totally.
Cool. How are you doing? Great conversation, Ben. So I appreciate you not brushing me off, taking the time to walk through, spend your morning doing this. You're doing some great work. Really is inspirational. Like we're looking at this, on multiple projects. I know a lot of people around the country are. So whether you hear it or not, like you're most of the time you end up on our Pinterest board. Everybody's like, have you seen this project? Yeah, we've seen that project.
Well, sorry. Hopefully I'm creating new cool enough stuff that we're not boring you with the same, monarch and spyglass photos over and over again. That was certainly the goal here, was to create some new cool stuff, and same thing with Baya. One thing I will say, just because, and to your point, we've had so much demand, just like people asking me for consulting or, mentorship or whatever else that, I think we're going to take the plunge and do a very curated, probably pretty tight-knit community / course / mastermind of sorts that we're going to roll out in the fall. So still figuring out exactly what that's going to look like, but my goal is to have the best advisory board there is in the space, and to really add a ton of value and see these projects come to life and not just talk about them. So we're going to be trying to filter members for people that we think have a bias towards action and are actually going to make these things happen. So more to come on that, but I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, it's a good sneak preview.
Yeah.
If you make it up to Denver and want to see a great Red Rocks concert, we're going vertical now. So in a year, Red Hotel should be up and running. Hit me up. I'd love to host you. If you decide to expand your repertoire of architects, let me know. It'd be fun to do a project together. But
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for hosting, taking the time. So
cool.
Ben.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate it.